Good evening, everyone. Tonight on Business Live, customers of the defunct Gold Coast Fund Management Company give Securities and Exchange Commission 3 days to pay their locked-up funds as calls picket at the premises of the commission.
Stand up! This is the time! This is the time! Show boys! Show boys!
Have pity on the pensioners so that our money will be given to us to enable us to take care of our children. So that when the law calls us, we will go in peace.
Economist Intelligence Unit predicts 30% depreciation of the cedi to the dollar in 2023. Ahead, we will engage an economist. Plus, 15 out of 21 banks recorded losses in 2022 as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. That's according to their audited financial statement. Ahead, we will hear from a banking consultant who predicts it may take banks 3 years to recover from the losses.
But just about 2 or 3 in the loss-making brackets, but it's the other way around this time, and it's mainly due to the effects of the domestic debt exchange program.
We've got details of these and many others coming your way shortly. Please stay. Pleasure, you could stay with us. I am Pious Kojobaka. Let's now settle for the details. Aggrieved customers of the defunct Gold Coast Fund Management says it has given the Securities and Exchange Commission a 3-day ultimatum to pay their locked-up funds. The company, which operated under the registered name Black Shield Company Limited, had over 55,000 customers whose funds were locked up. According to its convener, Charles Nyami, the group would go every length to have their monies. Speaking to Joy Business at the first day of the group's 3-day picketing at the premises of the Securities and Exchange Commission, he called on the government and the Ministry of Finance to investigate the matter.
We are here at the Securities and Exchange Commission premises here in Cantonment, and we have the aggrieved customers of the Gold Coast Fund Management. It's been over 4 years now, and they've still not been paid. That is with respect to their locked-up funds. I have the convener of this particular group. He's been raising a lot of concerns, basically how this has happened for the past 4 years. Charles, I just want to understand, just run me through what has been the situation all the way from the cleanup sector, that is the financial sector cleanup, all the way to today.
Thank you very much. The financial cleanup exercise was a policy initiated by the government, that Akufo-Addo government. And before the policy was initiated, the government assured us that the policy is coming to protect our investment and our deposits. So we all embrace it. With assurance of payment, it has been 5 years now. Monies have been approved by the Parliament for our payments. After monies were approved, the Securities and Exchange Commission, representing the government in this whole thing, jumped into the scene to put in conditionalities, reasons why these monies couldn't be disbursed themselves. On my table, officially, I have invitation for over 800 old people who have died, and there's a similar situation that ran through their death. They couldn't afford medical bills to go through medications and whatever, therefore they have to die. We are pleading with the government. As it stands now, it has been 5 years. They say that there's a court case going on. We customers, we don't care. We don't want to go to court. We have no interest in the court case. Government should go ahead and settle us with a bailout package that has been set and approved by Parliament.
You spoke about certain legal proceedings. Is SEC saying this is preventing them from giving out your monies?
That's what they are deceiving the public with. Securities and Exchange Commission is deceiving the public with. When the issue came, the government was confronted by two ways that he could have choose either of them to pay us. That is through bailout package or liquidation order route.
It's only Ghana that you cannot do investments. It's only Ghana that you cannot do investments. And I believe investment is important thing for everybody. If you know you'll be going on pension, what you have to do is to making sure that you have investment, and this investment will cater for your family, your children, and every extended families. People are dying day in, day out to hear stories. Customers are dying, and nobody in the government could tell us anything. If military government, not the military government, if you close down sort of banks. In democracy, democratic government closing banks and let people suffering, I can't believe that.
I will plead with Nanado, the president, Baumia and Kenu Furata, to at least have pity on the pensioners, so that our money will be given to us to enable us to take care of our children. So that when the law calls us, we will go in peace.
Right, so that's some concerns with respect to some of these aggrieved customers here at the premises of the Security and Exchange Commission. When you look at some of the placards they have in here, over 800 pensioners are there due to locked up funds. Also, they're asking the president in recent times said that some of these depositors, or basically most of them have been paid. They're asking when were they being paid this amount. Just right behind me, you could see a number of them, both the old and the young, women, men, waiting anxiously for their monies to be paid. And this tells you they are really keen this time in getting their funds to be paid, or their lockdown funds to be paid to them. So that's the situation here at the premises of the Security and Exchange Commission. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
All right, so let's move on to some other stories. An economist intelligence unit is predicting a 30% depreciation of the cedi to the dollar this year. This is, however, lower than the 44% depreciation of the local currency last year. Now, it's disclosed this in its 2023 country report. There is more in this Business Desk report.
So far this year, the cedi has lost about 17% in value in the retail market, but about 21% on the interbank forex market. According to UK-based Economist Intelligence Unit, the currency depreciation will be driven by increased demand for hard currency due to high import prices, inflation, capital flight, rising profit repatriation by Ghanaian-based multinationals, and weak investor sentiment in the face of the ongoing debt crisis. However, the expected executive board approval of the International Monetary Fund program by mid-2023 and sustained fiscal and monetary tightening will help to slow the cedi's fall comparatively over the second half of the year. It therefore expects further gradual depreciation of the cedi in between 2024 and 2027. It's added that Ghana's sustained depreciation reflects the country's structural current account deficit and higher inflation than its trading partners. Reserves will meanwhile average 3.3 months of import cover over 2023 and 2027, just above the internationally regarded prudential minimum of 3 months.
All right, so joining us via Zoom for his perspective on this prediction is economist Professor Lord Mensah. Professor Lord Mensah, pleasure you could join us on Business Live. First of all, your reaction to the EIU predicting a 30% depreciation of the cedi to the dollar this year.
Yeah, good evening and good evening to our viewers. If you can hear me, can you hear me, please?
I can, loud and clear.
Very good. Clearly, it's not surprising. It's not surprising because if you look at the dynamics of our economy, and then you relate it to the demand and supply of the foreign currency, which is the dollar, you'll come to appreciate that as we speak now, government demand for the dollar has gone down. Remember, government has put a standstill on external debt service, which requires dollars. And so whatever is happening on the ground, we seem to turn up with businesses who need the dollars and then individuals who need the dollars. If government resumes payment of its debt, taking into consideration the external debt service after the debt restructuring, obviously, we should see, some kind of a free fall of the cedi related to the dollar. So the prediction is not surprising at all.
Now, they are, however, predicting an improvement following the executive board approval of an IMF program by the mid-2023. Is that approval likely anytime soon?
Yeah, mid-2023, we're looking at June. There seem to be kind of exact prediction when it comes to the timelines they are providing. Because if you look at the procedures we're supposed to go through, and then the requirement to get a board approval, we're supposed to get our external debt restructuring, done. And I think we've made some steps. We took advantage of the IMF spring meeting to initiate certain levels of negotiations. And I believe that all those negotiations will crystallize getting to the end of June. And possibly, if we get a board approval, whatever the board will be required of Ghana should reflect in our mid-year budget review. Because if you relate the happenings on the grounds to our budget review, the budget that we read for 2023, you'll come to terms and get to know that, look, the budget we're just throwing out of numbers. And we need a budget that will reflect the debt restructuring that we are going through, both domestically and, external. So I believe that, if we should get an IMF deal, it should be somewhere July.
Contrary to what government is saying, sometime in June?
Yeah, it is. But then government will be giving predictions, giving timelines. I mean, remember, government is more or less wearing two hats, political hat and economic hat. And most of the time, you see the political hat outweighing the economic hat in terms of, the timelines they put out there. So it's a political timeline, but economically, things must be done before we get, the board approval.
And I'm very much interested in what must be done this time, short to medium term. What do you think we ought to do now?
Yeah, we need to, look at self-induced IMF conditionalities. And I say self-induced IMF conditionalities because we're looking at possibly, cutting down expenditure, reducing budget deficit to an affordable level, not necessarily, throwing out numbers and going on projects that will appease a typical Ghanaian when the public purse will be suffering. So for me, I will call for a self-induced IMF conditionalities before we even get a program from them.
Professor Lord Mensah, we are indeed grateful for your time here on Business Live, speaking to us on the back of the EIU report on Ghana's cedi. All right, so you're still watching Business Live here on the Joy News channel. Coming up, 15 out of 21 banks recorded losses in 2022 as a result of the domestic debt exchange program. That's according to their audited financial statements. Ahead, we will hear from a banking consultant who is predicting it may take banks 3 years to recover from the losses. Hello, welcome back. 15 out of 21 banks that have released their 2022 financial audited statement registered losses. These record losses are as a result of the domestic debt exchange program, which triggered their investment assets to be impaired. There is more in this report.
Consolidated Bank was the biggest casualty, recording about 2 billion cedis losses in 2022. Indeed, the local banks were the biggest losers. But the good thing is that they have swiftly recovered in Q1 of this year, recording some good profits. The 6 banks that recorded profit last year included GT Bank, Societe Generale, FBN Nigeria and UBA. For impaired assets, Absa Bank was the biggest loser, writing off 2.12 billion cedis. It was followed by Consolidated and GT Bank, which also wrote off 2.11 and 2.08 billion cedis respectively. FBN Bank, Bank of Africa, and Omni BSIC were the least affected. With regards to the capital adequacy ratio, which is a key financial soundness indicator, Consolidated Bank fell far below the industry threshold. FBN Nigeria, Access, and GT Bank, however, recorded the largest capital adequacy ratio of 57, 37 and 36% respectively in the banking industry. Joy Business had earlier reported that banks in Ghana lost about 15 billion cedis in 2022 due to the domestic debt exchange program.
Meanwhile, banking consultant Christian Techijan has been reacting to the losses posted by the banks.
So far as some of these monies will come back, once government begin to issue the bonds and the repayment starts coming in, they will come back to the banks in a form of other income, and surely it will affect the bottom line. So for this year and next year, we don't expect to see very different picture from what we are seeing now. But subsequently, 3 years when the bonds have actually matured and all the impairments that were made, and we are beginning to plow them back into the other income portfolio. Some of the banks have already started doing reclassification. If you look at CDG, for example, for this quarter, they've made very good profitability. If you look at GCB, they've made over 300 million. That is from the loss of 535 million that was made last year. So these are very good figures that are coming in. So definitely there's going to be recovery. It is not going to be like this. I'm sure by next quarter, which is half year 2023, we should be seeing these banks making very good profit because all the impairments that were made, they are going to reclassify those assets and they will come in to boost the profitability.
Would we have been telling a different story if there was no debt restructuring?
Absolutely, absolutely, because a lot of these impairments are due to the domestic debt exchange program that a lot of these banks have actually participated fully, and it's affecting their portfolio. So subsequently, it's going to get better. And certainly, though the banks actually made losses of over 4 billion in terms of loan losses, it wouldn't have affected them that much. This is the very first time we are seeing a lot of the banks out of the 23 that are making losses. Normally, you will have had just about 2 or 3 in the loss-making brackets, but it's the other way around this time, and it's mainly due to the effects of the domestic debt exchange program.
A while longer in the financial space, and the Microfinance Institutions Network is expressing worry over the proliferation of online advertisements of some financial institutions that have no physical presence. According to the association, these institutions pose a threat to many unsuspecting customers online and must be avoided. Executive Director Yao Jimfi spoke to Joy Business at a workshop on financial literacy in the Central Region.
Association, we have representation all over the country. And then there are also what we call mini task force that we use, where we've asked some of the financial institutions to prompt us whenever they see new financial institutions coming up. And then when they see the new products, they should let us know so that we can also double check if these people actually have the permission of the central bank to deploy those kind of products. Again, at the lower level, there are some people who open institutions without getting license. So we've been on the lookout for those kind of institutions to make sure that we don't have any foreign type of institution coming into the system and calling themselves microfinance or anything. But the biggest challenge that we've had of late is those that advertise online that you don't see the people behind it, but they try to do the trade. There are times you open a Facebook page and then you hear or you see an advert, but really it's difficult to pinpoint who is behind those things. Those are the areas that we are having much challenge now. And it's been very, very good with us in terms of the collaboration with the central bank as well, where whenever we hear of anything that we are not so sure of, we let them for them to take action.
Now, the Acting Director General of the Management Development and Productivity Institute, Bernice Ajay, has stated that supporting small and medium-scale enterprises is critical for economic development. According to her, SMEs in the country contribute largely to the development of the country, hence the need to support them to scale up. She was speaking at a ceremony to certify 74 SMEs in the country.
The German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development through the GIZ organized a Sustaining Competitive and Responsible Enterprises program to improve productivity and working conditions of SMEs. Participating SMEs were trained on cleaner production and quality management. Speaking in an interview, Acting Director General of the Management Development and Productivity Institute, Bernice Ejay, said supporting SMEs is critical.
In line with the government's industrialization agenda, we need to train all SMEs because they make up majority of our industries, and without them we can't move forward. The young people coming must be encouraged to go into what you call it, industrial farming. And I'm actually very impressed with the young guy who actually told us a little bit of his struggles with how he is going about this, using natural resources to, package it. And so we should be looking out for them to actually help them some more in terms of finances so that they can even make it into a massive production.
Team leader of Invest for Jobs at GIZ, John Duty, added that the training will ensure efficient use of resources by SMEs.
One of the responsibilities assigned to this program branded Invest for Jobs is to ensure that companies grow, expand, and by doing so they recruit additional hands to create decent jobs. And so we found the SCORE initiative as very relevant to achieving our goals. And as the SCORE program entails, it improves on competitiveness and enhances resource efficiency use. So if SMEs are trained and supported, we felt that it is one way. If you use resource efficiently, you become more competitive, and the savings that you do, they are then able to expand.
Small and medium-scale enterprises which completed all relevant training and coaching sessions under the SCORE program were awarded certificates.
And that's our program for tonight. I am Pious Kojo Baka. You can always get business stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Thanks so much for doing the watching.